Hi there, my name's Jack, and I work with the education team here at Botify. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you all for joining us today, and I'll be delighted to show off our platform. Today, we're going to be talking about how you can teach programming and robotics without needing to know how to code yourself. It's coding made simple with Robotify. Let's get started.
So let's start from the beginning and talk about the platform. First, let's log in. All you need to log in is a username and a password, or else you can use one of our single sign-on options. Now that you've logged into your account, you'll be greeted by our course catalog page, which displays most of our learning opportunities for students. Here you'll be able to view and access all of our courses, ranging from Axel's Mars Adventure all the way down to our mini courses. Next, we have our projects page. Here, we give users the opportunity to create their own coding adventure. They can create projects within any of our Robotify environments, all at the click of a button. This is a great way for students to continue their learning after finishing a course. This then brings us to RoboDuel. Here, users can put their coding skills to the test and compete with their friends and their classmates in a variety of different games. Now that we've run through our offerings for the students, we can talk about how this ties into what you, the educator, can do. I'm going to move on to our Classroom Hub now, where you'll be able to see how you can manage your classroom on the Robotify platform. Here, you can integrate your classroom by syncing from one of our offerings, or you can add them manually. Once your classroom is in the system, it couldn't be easier to manage it. You can add students to your classroom, you can unenroll them, and you can reset passwords, all from the same dashboard. When it comes to student behavior on the platform, you can see how your students are doing at any given time. All you need to do is look at the Student Analytics tab. You can see their attempts at tasks along with the recommended solutions, so you can help them if they're stuck. Next, we get to what I feel like is the most important part of our Classroom Hub, the educator resources. We spend a lot of time making sure that our courses have the best possible educator resources to accompany them. We cover everything, including full lesson plans and even slides with speaker notes. Everything here is geared towards the educator in the hope that we can give them the best possible experience with Robotify in the classroom. The last thing I'd like to talk about in our Classroom Hub is our designated tab for professional development. Here we have our Robotify Educator Fundamentals course. This course aims to give the educator a full introduction to the Robotify platform and how they can use it in their classroom. We will continue to keep our professional development tab up to date so that we can always guarantee that our educators can get the most out of Robotify. Now, the main idea behind this presentation is for me to show off how you can use Robotify in your classroom without necessarily knowing how to code yourself. I think the best way for me to do this is by running through some of the tasks and showing off our educator resources. Here, we have Axel's Mars Adventure. This is our flagship course, which is aimed at students who are brand new to coding. We've recently released the final 120 tasks of Axel's Mars Adventure, meaning that we now have a full year's worth of curriculum with Axel. I'm going to start from the beginning and show off how you might run your classroom with Axel. I'm going to take an example from lessons about if statements and show how you can teach this yourself. Before we open up the course, we can go and open up the educator resources and see how we'll run this course. Once this introduction is done, it's now time to move on to the actual Robotify platform. Now, what you see here is our student learning view, where the actual coding is done. In the top right of the screen, you can see our simulation engine. In the bottom right, you can see our terminal. Along the bottom of the screen is our instructions bar, and this main area is our workspace. This is where the blocks will go. The instructions down the bottom will guide the student through the tasks. They'll teach them more about these new concepts by showing them in action. The aim of these tasks is to encourage the students to use these new concepts in different ways. Let's do some tasks, shall we? We start by looking at the lesson plans and reading through the learning goal. Now, this learning goal is something that we want to keep in mind through the whole lesson. And we scroll down to the initial part of the lesson, which is going to be a piece with the teacher and the students, nothing to do with the platform, but it breaks it down here in terms of a review and an introduction. In this review, you're encouraged to engage the classroom and review the particular concepts that were learned in the previous lesson. This is always a great way to start off a lesson. Next, there's an introduction, and this kind of ties into the slides, which I can show you here. Now, these slides have speaker notes, which you can see down the bottom, These are here to help provide descriptions of the new concepts and just to help you explain these to the students. And it also has visual images to help students understand it. Now it's time to jump into the actual tasks. So to start, we're going to go and read the instructions down the bottom of the page. The readings from the trees seem to have led Axel to a forest. Source must be close. Good thing Axel has their scanning arm attached. Now, what this sort of thing is tying to is like a narrative that has been running through the whole lesson. So this is really to help with engagement with students. We go to the next instruction. Can you program Axel to get to the source of the reading so they can be scanned in more detail? So it's clear here by the environment where Axel needs to go. We can see there's more instructions. It's saying to use the if obstacle is 1 meter ahead block from the sensing drawer. So the students will be able to get the is one obstacle 1 meter ahead block. They'll have a bit of an understanding of what this does thanks to the pre-given lesson. And they can then get a little bit of instructions about what this block does and how that kind of ties into what they knew beforehand. So we'll now go and do the task. We can see that there is an obstacle 1 meter ahead. So what's Axel going to have to do? He's going to have to turn. He's going to have to turn left. And then he's going to have to move forward in order to make it to this circle which was defined here. So let's go and do that. It's gone green. And Axel's completed the task. Task complete, you've written 4 lines of code. So we can continue now to the next task. And again, there's more instructions down the bottom. Readings are strange. Axel's going to have to scan more of those artifacts in order to obtain some more accurate data. Can you program Axel to get to the artifact using the if obstacle is 1 meter ahead block? So again, this is, you can see in the workspace there's some loops. These loops have been explained and worked with in depth in all the previous lessons, so the student will have a great understanding of these already. So what we can say is, well, we need to use the is obstacle 1 meter ahead block. So if there's an obstacle ahead, we can just bin this. If there's an obstacle ahead, we know that we need to turn left. So we can turn left a quarter turn. And if otherwise we want to move forward, so we can move forward by 1. And we can just kind of watch the tasks, view the simulation and see how it goes. Oh. Again, the circle's gone green and we've got the task correct. Again, you can see why this is how this is student-led in this particular sense, because there's the narrative, there's the explanations. This is all given to the students. They don't need the help. If they do struggle, that can all be done through the teacher dashboard, which I'll show you now in a minute. So again, Axel only seems to be able to get a little bit of data from each artifact. You're going to need to program Axel to find more. Can you program Axel to get the artifact using the if else? You can see how this is kind of repetitive in that it's hammering down on trying to make them understand this block. And as the tasks go on, they get more worked. They will go and instead of using an is obstacle ahead block, they'll start introducing booleans. And it kind of goes on as the lesson goes on. And this is all stuff that has been introduced previously, but it's also explained as they go. The blocks are explained and the application is then seen. So I really think this is a nice way of kind of showing off how to do it. I think I'll jump out of this now and I will show you what to do if there's a student that's struggling. If any student is facing issues on a particular task, if you go to the Classroom Hub and you go to the Student Analytics tab, you'll be able to view each student's progress and you'll be able to see their attempted solutions as well as a recommended solution. So you could go around and always help the students. You could also change their progress if they really needed to get past a particular task. So another thing that I'd like to note is that our teacher resources also contain details towards differentiation. So you can customize your student learning as you see fit. For example, we can see here that students who struggle with this activity may benefit from direct teacher troubleshooting related to challenges which students are finding difficult to compete, focus on leading questions towards a solution. Again, similarly with students who find this easier can act as peer troubleshooters. And look, what I've done here is just gone through a quick example of how you can use Robotify in your classroom, but you could also adapt this structure to fit your own style. This learning experience then perfectly ties into our RoboDual Compete offerings. Here we have Axel Tag, a fun coding game that really integrates with the learning experience. This game is made up of two robots playing a friendly game of tag. The code here is made up of the same tools as some of the later Axel content, so it really transitions well from the courses. It's just a simple game of tag as well. It's easy for anyone to play. This is only the beginning of RoboDual. We have lots of exciting games coming very shortly, so be sure to keep your eye out. Now, the last thing that I'd like to talk about here is Python. Python is one of the most popular programming languages out there, with applications everywhere from data science to artificial intelligence. At Robotify, we feel that Python is part of the future of programming, and we're currently developing our own Python fundamentals course, so you can start teaching Python in your classroom with Robotify. This course is being built with not just the student in mind, but also the educator. So this course will be teachable by those with no background in computer science or robotics.